Everyone celebrates when their investments explode in value, but almost no one asks the question that matters most. What if this success is the most dangerous moment of your life? I know it sounds counterintuitive. You finally feel like your business is winning, your money is multiplying, and the future seems secure. But that's exactly when many believers fall asleep at the wheel. They confuse blessings with immunity, and they forget that in the Bible, prosperity was often a test disguised as favor. Here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. You can be rich in numbers and bankrupt in purpose. You can outperform the market and underperform God's calling on your finances. But it doesn't have to be this way. If you learn to anchor your investments in biblical wisdom, you'll build the kind of legacy that outlasts any bull market or economic collapse. In the next few minutes, I'm going to share principles so clear and practical that you can start applying them today, even before this video ends. Because the real question isn't whether you can make money while everything's going up. The real question is whether you have the courage to steward that money the way God intended. The illusion of easy money. Why booming markets are the most dangerous. In seasons when money seems to grow on trees, it's easy to forget that every boom carries hidden traps. A person opens their brokerage app and feels invincible, as if they alone unlock the secrets of business. But Proverbs 16:18 warns, "Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall." This verse wasn't written for bear markets. It was a warning crafted precisely for moments when success feels effortless. Just because your stocks are green doesn't mean your foundation is strong. You might be mistaking the rising tide for your own brilliance. Some investors think a bull market is proof of divine favor, when in reality, it can be a test of character. Remember the Israelites in Deuteronomy 8:13-14. When your herds and flocks grow large and your silver and gold increase, then your heart will become proud and you will forget the Lord. If God blessed your business and money multiplied, He did it to see whether you'd stay humble or start worshiping the returns. The most dangerous moment in any financial journey isn't when you're broke. It's when you're comfortable. Consider an example. In 2021, many believed they were investing geniuses because everything was up. From meme stocks to speculative crypto tokens, people threw cash at anything that moved. They forgot timeless principles. A good business creates real value and stands the test of time. You can apply this today by reviewing your portfolio and asking, would I buy this again if the price fell 50%? If the answer is no, you're probably chasing hype. Another reason booming markets are perilous is that they drown out wise voices. Everyone wants to hear how to make money faster, not how to protect it. But Ecclesiastes 11:2 says, "Divide your investments among many places, for you do not know what risks might lie ahead." Wisdom always whispers while euphoria shouts. Be the kind of steward who listens to the quiet counsel of Scripture, not the roaring crowd. It helps to set aside time every week to unplug from market noise. Imagine a Sabbath for your financial mind. No stock tickers, no portfolio tracking, just reflection. You could journal about why you started investing, what legacy you hope to leave, and where God is calling you to serve. This practice can guard your heart from the illusion that you're in control of everything. Because when the next storm comes, and it will, you'll be grounded, not guessing. And here's the paradox. Easy money seasons are the perfect soil to plant seeds of discipline. Anyone can make money when the market lifts all boats, but few will build conviction, resilience, and humility. As we look deeper, we'll discover how biblical principles can anchor you through prosperity without losing your soul to pride. Biblical principles to keep your heart anchored while your portfolio grows. When your investments thrive, your business feels unstoppable, and the money keeps rolling in. That's when the heart is most tempted to drift. The Bible is rich with wisdom on how to stay grounded. Proverbs 30:8-9 says, "Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with the food allotted to me, lest I be full and deny you." It's a prayer that reminds us success is a stewardship, not a trophy. While culture celebrates the grind to make money, Scripture calls you to humility and dependence on God. One practical way to anchor your heart is to cultivate gratitude before you check your accounts. Imagine starting each morning listing 3 blessings unrelated to finances. Maybe it's your health, your family, or a chance to serve. This simple ritual trains your mind to see money as a tool, not a measure of worth. When gratitude grows, entitlement shrinks. And in business, that shift protects you from reckless decisions fueled by ego. Another principle is generosity. 2 Corinthians 9:11 declares, "You will be enriched in every way so that you can be generous on every occasion." When your portfolio expands, set aside a portion to sow into causes that align with God's heart. Whether it's funding scholarships, supporting missionaries, or helping local entrepreneurs, generosity breaks the power money holds over you. It's the antidote to greed that quietly poisons prosperity. Some believers think stewardship is only about budgets and spreadsheets, but Jesus taught that stewardship is about faithfulness. In Luke 16:10, he said, "Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much." The discipline you practice when your income is small is the same discipline that will sustain you when your business scales. That means maintaining integrity in your dealings, paying fair wages, and honoring your commitments even when profits tempt you to cut corners. You can also anchor your heart by remembering that money can vanish faster than it arrived. Solomon, the wealthiest man of his era, wrote in Proverbs 23:5, "Cast but a glance at riches and they are gone." Markets can collapse overnight and businesses can face unforeseen crises. Keeping this perspective doesn't mean living in fear. It means staying humble, knowing every good thing is ultimately entrusted to you by God. Finally, consider creating an annual heart check retreat. Take a weekend each year to step away from your business, pray, journal, and evaluate whether your pursuits align with your purpose. This habit can reveal if you're still anchored or if subtle currents have begun to carry you toward pride. Because when you're intentional about guarding your heart, your success becomes a platform to serve rather than a pedestal to boast. The 3 commitments of a wise steward in times of abundance. When money starts to overflow and your business is thriving, it's tempting to believe you've arrived, but a wise steward knows that prosperity brings greater responsibility. Proverbs 21:20 says, "The wise store up choice food and olive oil, but fools gulp theirs down." The first commitment is to preserve margin in every area of life. That means keeping cash reserves, avoiding lifestyle inflation, and ensuring you don't spend tomorrow's harvest today. A good rule of thumb is to maintain at least 6 months of expenses in a liquid account, so no market swing can force you into desperation. The second commitment is to keep learning, even when you feel successful. Ecclesiastes 10:10 reminds us, "If the axe is dull and its edge unsharpened, more strength is needed, but skill will bring success." Abundance can lull you into complacency, but sharpening your skills is how you remain effective. Maybe that means reading books like The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, or Business by the Book by Larry Burkett. It might be joining mastermind groups or attending conferences. Growth shouldn't stop just because your portfolio grows. The third commitment is to plan generational impact. Psalm 112:3 says, "Wealth and riches are in their houses, and their righteousness endures forever." Your abundance isn't just for you, it's a seed for your children and community. Consider creating a giving plan or a family mission statement that defines how you'll use money to advance God's purposes. For example, you might set aside a percentage of profits to mentor young entrepreneurs or to invest in businesses that align with biblical values. Many investors forget that a financial harvest can disappear if you fail to protect and direct it. This is why you should regularly review your insurance, estate plans, and legal structures. Even something as simple as forming an LLC for your business or updating your beneficiaries can shield your legacy from unnecessary risks. When you make these commitments, you're not just a participant in the market, you become a purposeful steward. Another aspect often overlooked is accountability. Invite a trusted mentor or financial advisor who shares your faith to speak into your decisions. Proverbs 15:22 says, "Plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors they succeed." An outside perspective can save you from blind spots that success tends to create. Abundance is a gift and a test. If you commit to preserving margin, staying teachable, and planning for legacy, you will stand firm when the seasons shift. And in the next section, you'll discover why diversification isn't only smart investing. It's a biblical mandate to protect what you've built. Why diversification isn't just a strategy. It's a biblical mandate. Some people think diversification is just a modern portfolio trick to make money, but the Bible has been teaching this principle for thousands of years. Ecclesiastes 11:2 lays it out plainly. "Divide your portion to 7 or even to 8, for you do not know what misfortune may occur on the earth." This verse isn't just poetic advice, it's an ancient risk management blueprint. When your business is booming, it's the perfect time to spread your resources across different streams instead of betting everything on a single outcome. In practical terms, diversification means more than owning a few stocks. It might include combining index funds like the S&P 500 and NASDAQ with individual companies you believe in. You could allocate a portion to bonds or even explore alternative investments like REITs. The key is to build a structure resilient enough to withstand any storm. Imagine if your income came from multiple streams: dividends, rental income, side businesses. That's how you shield your family from the volatility that can wipe out a single source overnight. Consider Joseph in Genesis 41. He didn't just store grain in one city. He spread reserves throughout Egypt because he understood that localized risks, like pests, theft, or spoilage, could threaten the nation's future. Diversification is the same principle applied to your finances. It acknowledges that you can't predict every crisis, but you can prepare for most of them. Many entrepreneurs fall in love with one idea or company and ignore this wisdom. They think, my business is special, my investments are different. But Proverbs 27:1 cautions, do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring. That verse should humble any investor who assumes today's success guarantees tomorrow's security. Diversification forces you to admit you don't know it all, and that's a good thing. Here's something you can do right now. Take an inventory of where your assets are parked. Are you overexposed to a single stock or sector? Do you have a plan if that area underperforms for years? If not, this is your moment to make changes before the market forces your hand. Diversification isn't about fear, it's about faithfulness. You're stewarding what God has entrusted to you with prudence. Some of the wealthiest biblical figures practice this principle. Solomon invested in shipping, trade, agriculture, and precious metals. He knew that putting all your eggs in one basket might feel exciting, but it rarely ends well. And as we continue, you'll see that stepping back and practicing intentional rest is just as critical as spreading your investments. When to step back, practicing Sabbath from greed and noise. In the relentless pursuit to make money, it's easy to forget that rest isn't a luxury. It's a command. Exodus 20:9-10 declares, 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. This principle wasn't given only for spiritual renewal. It was also God's design to keep your ambitions in check. When markets surge and your business thrives, that's precisely when stepping back becomes most essential. Rest protects your soul from the exhaustion and entitlement that wealth can breed. Think about the modern investor who checks their portfolio 20 times a day. Every uptick feels like victory, every drop like a crisis. Over time, this obsession crowds out gratitude and perspective. You can practice a financial Sabbath by setting boundaries. Maybe you designate one day a week with no market news, no business analysis, and no trading apps. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but that space will recalibrate your priorities. Jesus often withdrew from the crowds to pray. In Luke 5:16, but Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed. If the Son of God needed moments away to regain clarity, how much more do we? Rest isn't a sign of weakness. It's proof that you trust God more than the system. A financial Sabbath is an act of faith that says, my provision comes from the Lord, not my hustle. You can also extend this rest to your family and team. Schedule quarterly retreats where you step away from daily operations. Use that time to reconnect with why you started your business and how your money can serve others. These pauses will help you notice patterns you'd otherwise miss in the rush, like mission drift, burnout, or unhealthy dependence on short-term gains. One practical step is to automate what you can. Automating your savings, tithes, and investments means you're still acting wisely without the constant need for intervention. Proverbs 19:2 warns, desire without knowledge is not good. How much more will hasty feet miss the way? Pausing keeps you from acting in haste and making decisions you'll regret when the market cools. When you practice intentional rest, you reclaim your identity as a steward rather than a slave to money. And in the next section, you'll see why preparing for inevitable storms is the highest expression of faithfulness with your resources. Building a legacy. Preparing your business and family for inevitable storms. Many people believe that wealth is proven by how much you can accumulate. But in Scripture, true wealth is measured by what survives the test of time. Proverbs 13:22 says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. Notice it doesn't mention just money. It's about legacy, values, wisdom, and a foundation that endures when markets crash and business slows. The wise steward prepares not only for prosperity, but for the storms that will surely come. One practical step you can take is to create contingency plans. Do you have emergency funds for your business? Do you have insurance in place to cover unexpected disruptions? When COVID-19 struck, businesses with cash reserves and solid risk management survived while others disappeared overnight. You can apply this lesson today by establishing 3 to 6 months of operating expenses in a liquid account. That cushion is not a sign of fear. It's evidence of foresight. Consider Joseph again in Genesis 41. He didn't wait for the famine to hit before storing grain. God gave him a vision to prepare during the years of abundance. That same principle applies to your finances. When your business is thriving, that's the time to shore up your defenses, pay down debt, and fortify your systems. Because when you act early, you give your family the gift of security and clarity. Another aspect of legacy is training the next generation. Your children and employees need to see how you make decisions under pressure. Bring them into conversations about investments, budgeting, and stewardship. Deuteronomy 6:7 commands us to impress these truths on our children. When they watch you handle money with integrity, they inherit more than assets. They inherit wisdom. Also, consider documenting your intentions. Draft a simple will, outline succession plans, and write a statement of faith that explains why you made the choices you did. These documents will guide your loved ones when you're no longer here to explain. A legacy unspoken is a legacy easily lost. Take time to make your convictions clear. Finally, remember that storms aren't always financial. Illness, relational breakdowns, and unexpected loss can threaten everything you've built. But when your business and family are anchored in biblical principles, you have resilience that money alone can't buy. In the next section, you'll learn how to choose investments that honor God and remain steady in any market. The 7 filters to discern God-honoring investments in any market. When you set out to make money and grow your business, it's easy to forget that not every profitable venture is worth pursuing. Proverbs 16:8 warns, "Better a little with righteousness than much gain with injustice." This is why discerning where you place your resources matters as much as how much you earn. Wise investors use clear filters to avoid the subtle traps that can compromise their convictions. Let's explore 7 of these filters to guide your decisions. The first filter is mission alignment. Does this company's purpose align with your values and faith? If you'd be embarrassed to tell your children where your money came from, it's probably not worth owning. The second filter is financial strength. Look for businesses with more cash than debt, especially in volatile markets. A strong balance sheet is the bedrock of resilience, like the wise man in Matthew 7 who built his house on the rock. The third filter is consistent revenue growth. Proverbs 21:5 says, "The plans of the diligent lead to profit." Diligence shows up in businesses that keep growing, not just riding hype cycles. Review a company's past 5 years. Are revenues increasing steadily? That's a sign of healthy leadership and long-term potential. The fourth filter is ethical leadership. A great product can't redeem a corrupt culture. Proverbs 29:2 teaches, "When the righteous thrive, the people rejoice." Investigate who runs the company. Do they have a record of integrity? Remember, bozos hire bozos and superstars hire superstars. Your investment is a vote of confidence in their character. The fifth filter is competitive advantage. Does this business have a moat, something unique that shields it from competition? This could be patented technology, brand loyalty, or exclusive contracts. Warren Buffett often says he looks for moats because they protect profits when times get tough. The sixth filter is recession resilience. The best investments can weather downturns. During the 2008 crisis, companies like Johnson & Johnson and Procter & Gamble kept growing because their products were essential. Ask yourself, if the economy fell apart tomorrow, would this business still generate income? The seventh filter is impact beyond profit. Does your investment bring good into the world? In 1 Timothy 6:18, Paul instructs the wealthy to be rich in good deeds and to be generous and willing to share. The money you make can fuel missions, education, and relief efforts. This is where faith and business meet to transform lives. These filters aren't about making you a perfect investor, they're about keeping you a faithful one. As you apply them, you'll see that your portfolio can be both prosperous and purposeful. And now let's step back and craft an introduction that ties all of this together in a compelling invitation. Now you've seen what most investors ignore, the quiet patterns hidden behind all the noise. The question is, what will you do with this insight? Will you keep chasing the next hot stock, hoping this bull market never ends? Or will you choose to become the kind of steward whose business and money are built on principles that don't crack under pressure? Imagine what your life could look like a year from now if you applied just one of these biblical filters. More clarity, more peace, more purpose behind every dollar you invest. Write in the comments, "My business will honor God in every season." And watch how this powerful declaration begins to shift the course of your business and your finances from this day forward. So, which of these commitments will you embrace first? What's the one change you can make this week to start aligning your finances with your faith? If this message spoke to you, consider supporting our ministry through the link in the description. It's your generosity that allows us to keep equipping believers around the world. And don't forget, Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss these teachings. Your legacy starts with the decisions you make today. Make them count.